Righty, welcome back again to NZ Maper Outlaw Kustoms. Or Metallica. No, it's good. As you can see, chassis is back. And it's cleaned up pretty good. But unfortunately, because I sort of got so busy with this and then just never quite freaking got back there to get it. With a few hold-ups in there, and then things were a little bit worse in places and took a bit longer than I thought. Unfortunately, it sat on an open lean-to for a few days, and it's got a little bit of moisture on it. It's not bad, but I'm going to have to run over it with a wire brush, and then what I'll do is like I did yesterday in the last video, I'll paint a bit of that on where it's sort of started to flash rust a little bit, and then I'll run over with the wire brush again. And I'll straighten out a few bits and pieces, and then I'll flick it with some edge just to seal it up. Alrighty, just going to cut this out. I just sat down for a couple of minutes, had a quick drink and whatever. And I've noticed that Brent from Halfass has put out his new video, working on that 4-wheel drive 50s Chev truck, that red and black one. I mentioned on a previous video of it that you should put like a power steering reservoir off a car. You know, sometimes they have remote ones. On one of the late model stuff. I said I should put one of those on your hydraulic ram pump and hoses. You know, that might be a good place to top it up and fill it and check it and whatever. And gives you a little bit more reserve oil through the system, so when the ram's going up. So, and he did, and he gave me a quick wee mention, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, get this cut out. I'll just see a message there. Hold on. Right, yeah, just got a message from Marko. All good. Well, cut under here. Somewhere. Somehow. Right, we'll start beating this into submission. So obviously 3 bolts to hold it in place. So I'm going to beat it over here. I'm going to pull this round into here, and I'll put a couple of tick screws in it just to hold it. And we should be able to manipulate the rest of it around where we need it. Wish I had freaking just a little bit further that way, but it's not a biggie. We can sort that, it'll be covered anyway. But yeah, we'll just start beating this into submission. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go a little bit later. But it looks like that chassis is doing its thing. Man, life shit gets in the way. So much fun. Worst thing when you're working by yourself. There's nobody else to do shit for you, so you got to do it yourself. Or to carry on doing stuff. We'll start hammering this into here. Might have to move that bolt again, but at least we'll get it into here, and then once we get this sort of shape into here, and then we'll start hammering this side of it. That's roughed in about 14 minutes. So I'm just going to have a quick look at this over there. Run over it with a wire wheel quickly and just see what happens. It looks like it's fairly neutralised. That stuff actually, with just very, very minor light stuff like that, that's sort of just flashing, it almost makes it disappear. Sort of like resolves it. So yeah, hopefully with a bit of a clean up, should be good to go, if you know what I mean. Then we can obviously do a little bit of straightening and whatever and flip it over. We'll get these straightened over out before we flip it over. Hopefully they won't take too much. Big crescent hopefully. Straighten them out, maybe a wee bit of heat if we need it. Clean it out and then we can flip it over and we can do the other side, and obviously we can see down in places like this a bit better, paint a bit more in there if we need it, and then we can etch it and whatever and get it sealed up. So I'll grab some earmuffs and we'll hit it with this wire wheel for a minute and just see how it cleans up. Going to do that. Big lighter. Yeah, that'll come up pretty clean. Be a bit like a shiny penny by the time we're finished. It's a bit of a shame to have to do this, but shit happens, you know, sometimes it's just what happens. I'm not quite sure why. Probably should have got him to flick a coat of etch on it, and that probably wouldn't have flash like that quite so much. It's bugger all, but it's just enough to be annoying and to waste an extra hour or whatever. But yeah, it should be right. It'll clean up fine. It's not too big a job. It's not as though we're having to really get into it or anything like that. All the time I've rubbed over it with that and a wire brush and flip it over and clean the other side of it and just double check and whatever, and it'll come up pretty clean. Don't think it'll be much of a major issue. So that's cool. Righty. I'll check the time and we might have to bugger off, I think. Morning, guys. So welcome back to Hombre Outlaw Kustoms again. It's been a couple of days since I've been here. So Tuesday, I ain't out going to the doctor. I've been trying to get into the doctor for a wee while. It wasn't really an issue, but I needed to get something sorted. Mrs. noticed a lump because I've got the psoriasis. She noticed that something was, like there was a lump that was inflamed, it was all blown up and swelled up on a place that I couldn't see. But anyway, so I went and got that looked at. They thought it was an abscess. It wasn't really sore, it was a little tender, but it wasn't really sore. So I went to the hospital and they said, nah, it's definitely not an abscess, it was just some inflamed psoriasis. So they prescribed me some cream to put on it and see if it settles down over the week. It seems to be pretty good now. It's been a couple of days. But yeah, then yesterday we ended up, the Ford Mondo needed a safety check here, which would be an MOT in the UK, or we call it a warrant of fitness. So that gets one every 12 months here. So yeah, they check everything from lights to brakes to rust to seat belts, all those sorts of things, making sure everything, suspension's not worn out, wheel bearings aren't stuffed, all those sorts of things aren't flipping and flopping around. That's one thing I noticed when I was in Tasmania, because they have no safety check there. They do, but it's only if you ever, when the car's brand new, they obviously put it through safety check, or if it's been off the road for a long time and then it's been put back on the road, then it's going to have a safety check. Or if the police pull you over and deem your vehicle to be unfit to drive, then it needs a safety check. But otherwise, yeah. So when I was over there, frickin', the cars were really bad. Some were really bad. Some were really well looked after. But some of the people, with not a lot of money, man, you'd be driving the car and the frickin' suspension would be moving around and squirreling and clunking and whatever. So here in New Zealand, we do a safety check every, depending on the age of the vehicle, but yeah, 12 months or 6 months is normally the normal. And they do the same for trucks and everything like that that's been driven on the road and registered bikes, a whole lot. So I think that's not a bad thing. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's not a bad thing. It makes, at least you know that you're driving around a vehicle that's in theory safe. So you had to do that yesterday, but I couldn't get, because it's so close to Christmas, all the little local workshops here in the town where I live, they were all booked out. So it's like until mid-late next week, and it's like, well, shit, if there's anything wrong, it's not going to give me any chance to fix anything. So there's a place in Invercargill where you can just drive in and you just jump in the queue, and it just keeps getting moved to the front of the queue. They've got 3 or 4 guys that do that, and then they'll go through and check it and whatever. So you basically go in there, hand the keys, write down your details, and you bugger off for an hour or two. And I'll give you a ring with, oh yep, no, your car's done, sweet. And you go to that and pick it up, and I'll tell you if there's anything wrong with it. And you go and get it fixed, or they'll fix it, or whatever, depending on what you want to do or spend. So I think I had to replace a light bulb, or globe, or whatever you want to fucking call it. It was park light. One of them was out. So yeah, did that yesterday, and then had to get it registered as well, because it ran out of registration here. So yeah, got all that sorted. So, and then spent the better part, well, most yesterday afternoon, once we sort of got back from town, which was about 1:30 or whatever it was. Yeah, then I spent most part of the afternoon helping Dad work on that little bike for the young fella. Yeah, so I think what we'll do now is we'll get this piece on and joined in, because we'll have to do this on here, unfortunately, because I haven't got this detached from these bits. I probably could have, but yeah, we'll get this obviously cut in and welded on, and we'll go from there. Righty, so where are we at? I got this partly welded on. Man, the last few days have been messy. But anyway, so I got that partly welded on and got the chassis flipped over. So this is the first time I've actually seen the top of the chassis. And just having a look, it's not bad. There's a wee bit of pitting over there. It's pretty solid. Like, I'm not going to do any repairs, like metal wise. I think it's fine. It's solid enough. Like, it's only a little bit of, it's nothing horrendous. It's not as though it's like really, really thin anywhere or anything. It all looks pretty solid to me. Nothing worth stressing about, if you know what I mean. So obviously we're going to run over this with a wire wheel, and then we'll paint that same stuff on the top end, and obviously anything down in these pieces that look a bit sus. It's actually pretty clean down on the surface, because it was the way it was up, if you know what I mean. So you'll obviously we'll give it a wee bit of a scuff around in there as well. And then once we've got that's cleaned up, so this is the rivets that are worn out. So this is the one's actually completely gone off the top. So we'll have to get that one out. These ones here, we hopefully might be able to just tighten up. I might replace that one too. That one there we might be able to just tighten up. They should be tight like these ones. I don't know why they've... And obviously the same on the bottom. They're all loose. So we'll have to replace those rivets. They'll have to be done hot. And I've got a sneaking suspicion I'm out of gas. They just have to get these out. But now that it's been all sandblasted and cleaned up, I'm hoping that I might better just lay a nut over around here with a washer underneath. Or I could get a washer that's just big enough to fit over that. Then lay a nut on it and burn it in, hopefully, and lay a washer over that. Fortunately, it's like it's in a decent hole. So hopefully if I can lay a washer over that's close, burn that in, and then burn a nut in over top. A bit like you would do on an alloy head. And hopefully I can grab them without welding onto anything else, if you know what I mean. And the heat, and now they're being sandblasted, hopefully be enough to break them free. Otherwise we'll have to drill them out. So yeah, apart from that, it actually looks pretty good. With a decent scuff up and a clean and a treat it with that stuff where it looks bad. Actually, the top of it's actually pretty clean for rust. Like there's a little bit of trying to start, but it's not too bad. Dad actually used to do sandblasting years ago, back in the 70s, or late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, it would have been about that, because I think he bought the parts, car dismantling place about 83 or something like that, and then run that up to about 99 before he started doing the restoration stuff for trucks. And he said he would never, he said it's surprised they never just etched these or primed them or whatever. So yeah, he said it's a bit weird that he said if they had sprayed it with something quick, he said it would have stopped a lot of this, even if it was underneath the lean-to for a few days. But yeah, so we need to get in here and treat a bit of this shit and run back over that with the wire wheel. So some of it's okay and some of it's not too bad. It's not that bad, but it just needs treated for the flash. So I think once it's all sealed up, we can probably paint it with, I don't know. I think we'll just spray it with 2-pack. That'll be fine once we've got it all cleaned up. Right, so it looks like it's doing its thing. Now, we'll leave it for a little bit longer just to let this shit dry off a bit. It's cooled off a little bit, still plenty warm enough, but we'll let it dry off a bit longer before we attack it and clean it up. It hasn't been that long, it's only been, say, 40 minutes or a bit more. Some places look dry and some places don't. But yeah, that's cool. Coming along nicely. Anyway, I think what I'll do is we'll maybe lay a bit of tape on this piece here and see if we can make a patch. And we'll start shaping that up. Got a bit of cleaning out and grinding to do and panel beating. It's a bit lumpy down there. I really wish I done these couple of welds off those brackets and got that off. Would have been a lot easier to work with, considering it was loose along here. It would have been damn so easy to weld together. That was a prick. Just because some of these weird angles, you know, I kept blowing through because I wasn't really pointing in the right place. That's life. It's reasonably well sorted now, so we'll obviously when we get it up the other way we can get in there and grind it up on the inside and same on the outside and give it a wee bit of dolling and whatever and clean it up a bit better and all the rest of it and fill a few pinholes. I've rough ground it back at the moment. So I think there should be enough steel here to get this bit out of here somewhere. Can't use this bit because it's 2 mil, but we've got plenty of meat here somewhere to get another patch. And then we've got another little patch at the front, and there might be another couple of small patches which we should be able to get out of some bits of scrap and off cuts and whatever. Might need a little one right at the back on that back panel. We've got that. A couple of holes here. If they won't weld up, I think they should. If they won't weld up, we might take a little patch in here, but I hope it'll weld up. It's only 3 or 4 little holes. The rest of it's really solid. I don't think there's anything else we need to fix on the body. Once we're done, like there's a couple little spots up on top and stuff like that where it's rotted through where the wood was on top of this, and a few little cracks to weld up and bits and pieces, but I think generally we're basically done. Just going to make that patch and put it in. A couple of just bits and pieces, but we'll get that patch done. Feeder on too shortly. Just make sure that we're all still happy. So we'll do that now, see, once we've marked this out. check it now. Set this in place and throw most of the bolts in. That was pretty fucking good to me. That needs a little bit of wiggle just to get on, but it's not a million miles away. It's just a little jiggle. So that's cool. I'm happy with that. Happy with that so far. We'll just check the gap around here, make sure nothing's on clear. No, it's good. Right. So we'll pull that back off. We'll sit that over here. Out of the road, but easy to put back on, and we'll make that patch. Bit flat. Anyway, so I've got some rough shape in that now. Well, got that roughly bent over, I should say. This here's got a little bit of shape in it because it's got a curve. Obviously we'll have to do a bit more, but we'll have to start pulling all this in. I just want to check the time first. Righty. I didn't really film much of this. It's been mucking around and I've been talking to a few people and whatever. I'm getting close with this. It's not fitting yet. I might actually have to stretch this a little bit through here just to get it to, because it sits weird. It hasn't got enough shape in it to fit the body properly. But, you know, we can work on that. Because I might have to stretch it here and then obviously probably have to play with it a little bit around through here just to get it to fit that curve better after lunch. I've been talking to Arco and a few others and bits and pieces, so I've been mucking around doing this. So you will part way there. But yeah, I just need to put a bit more shape in it here because it's too square, if you know what I mean. It's too flat. Needs to be just a bit more shape in it. So I think if we just stretch it a little bit through here, it'll change shape a little. Then obviously we'll have to manipulate this again to get it to fit in there better. I did drill a hole in it here to try and get it to sit over here, but just because of the shape of it, it won't quite sit on there yet because it wants to sit out here if you know what I mean. It's not, so it just hasn't quite got the right shape in it yet, but we can work on that. But anyway, I'm gonna go have some lunch And then probably when we come back, I haven't looked back at this yet. When we come back, it's actually still a bit wet because it's overcast. We might clean this up, but we'll see how we go with. If it still looks wet when we come back, I might just leave it for a bit longer until we get that fitted and maybe tacked on, and then this might be dry enough by then, so we can clean that up. But works good, that stuff. You can see all the rust sort of disappeared, sort of dissolves it, because it's only really sort of sitting on the surface at the moment. It cleans up pretty good. So anyway, we'll carry on, we'll go have some lunch, and we'll see you back here later on. Right, so I've done a couple little stretches on here just to try and get this right. I really need this here out of the ride. It's screwing me up trying to just get this to sit in place properly. I could cut a notch in here, but I don't really want it. I'd rather just have the hole. Now we can always open it up a little bit later on, but this is pissing me off. It's in the road. I can't, can't put the panel down just easily enough. Right. Oh, that's that. I guess clean up to that point. Like I said, at some point, probably Monday or something like that, I might. Got a spray, pump up spray bottle. I might splash a little bit of the universal thinners in it, or I might have a look through some of the other stuff and just splash a bit in it, not a heap, and then grab cut a bit of that off, and a little bit of thinners in a little spray bottle, pump it up, soak it just a little bit, spray a bit on the thing, and just give it a good scrub off to make sure I get the last of any other residue and shit off it the best I can, obviously, and then we'll edge prime it, and then we can go from there. But anyway, let's have another look at this thing, see if we can get it loose. Alright, so I'll eventually get that out. And this fits, but there's a couple of little things annoying me about it. I'm just not quite sure whether I should start again, or I think with a bit of a pushing. Hold on, I'll put the phone back on this tripod. Let's see, I'm getting fairly close, hopefully. So, I'm just contemplating putting a couple of tick screws in it, just to see if it fits better. I'm struggling. Well, I'm not struggling, but I just think this edge needs to be bigger, deeper, to help me. It's starting to fit okay. I've done a little touch of shrinking on here, and then hammered and dollied. It needs a bit more. I think I've got a bit much shape in it now. And I think this here needs to be just this. I think this piece here needs to be twisted in more. But anyway, I'm call it here for the day. It's unfortunate. It's just I was really hoping to get this corner sort of finished and buttoned up a bit better, but I don't know. I just haven't quite got there yet. Right, morning guys. So welcome back again. So I'm just comparing notes between the piece we cut off and obviously the piece we're making. So I think I've actually got this too tight. So we'll have to relieve it a little bit through here. See, it's got too much shape in it. That's part of the problem. And then obviously this here doesn't lean over enough. So we'll have to try and tweak it over. So I think if I relieve this a little bit, because I think this fits. I'm just sitting this back on here just so I can just see whether this fits all right. Make sure it hasn't changed shape or anything. That's pretty good. So yeah, we just need to do a few tweaks to this obviously to get it to fit. So I'm not quite so frustrated. So if we hold that in here, it needs a wee bit of flattening out through here. I've got pulled in too much. And then obviously this here, just got to come over. It'd probably be twisted sort of through from here somewhere, twist it around. So we'll do that, and then hopefully this might fit nicer. Put this in the vise first and just see if we can get the twist it about the right place. Sorry, just put the lock on the tripod at the bottom so it doesn't collapse up on me. Right. So I did a little bit of straightening there, not a heap. Just gave it a couple of tweaks. It's better, definitely better. Don't know if it's still enough yet. It's kind of weird though, because it needs to, almost like it needs more curve here, but weird. Won't lay that on the car anyway. Wherever we look for shape. Yeah, see if it's fitting any better. See if it's fitting any better. It's weird, eh? You straighten it out there and then all of a sudden it doesn't. It's like it needs. Like it needed less being there, but it's. Even. It's fitting better though. A bit of pressure to pull it in. It's fit better. It's almost like it needs a little grab up here and sucked in here, just in that little area, if you know what I mean, just to kink it a bit here. I might see if I can get in there. Just put a bit of a pull in here. Well, we flattened it out here, but it needs a bit of a grab in here if I can get it. And we'll try and flatten this out a little bit. Made it too round. Right, so now that fits better. It's not too bad at all. Probably, no, it needs a little bit of tweaking, but once you think, probably cut the under away wherever we end up trimming it. And where it on, I think we'll be good now. I just want to obviously bolt that on, make sure we're happy with this shape. So yeah, but I think we're pretty close to being right. And like I said, obviously, you know, it needs a little bit of hammer and dolly work. I might even just put a couple of little, just light shrinks in here to help that transition a little bit better. But I think once you cut it and pull it in, that little bit before welded on, it'll make a little difference too, because you haven't got the extra material behind it holding it out. But not that there's a lot, you know, but it's probably into here somewhere, wherever. I know it's not quite there, but it is overlapping a quarter of an inch or so, so that will pull that in a little bit. It's got a couple of tech screws there to hold it, because I cut this in slightly further because this is sticking out a little bit. It was probably, well, it wasn't a quarter of an inch, but it was an eighth or something like that. It was sitting out, so we just hammered that back a little bit. But that fits way better than it did before. It just looked weird before. It just wouldn't fit. But sometimes, you know, get away for the rest of the weekend and come back fresh and just think about it, you know, before you come back. Sometimes, you know, just one of those one of those thinking processes will just open up, and you'll say, oh shit, you know, freaking, you know, I didn't even think about comparing it to the piece I cut up the other day. I was trying to make it fit, you know, and you said, oh, you know, it's a tuck here, it needs a tuck there, or whatever sort of type thing. And sometimes if you just overlay it over the other piece, you know, which we normally do, but you know, just sometimes that thought process goes out of your head. So yeah, sometimes it just pays to walk away for a bit and clear your head and come back, and it'll just fall into place. You know, we've been 20 minutes here fluffing around with this, and it now fits pretty good. You know, with a little bit of hair, a little bit of tweaking here and there. I might just do a wee shrink here and just see it's puckered up a bit. Might just shrink that a little bit and hammer over that. Now we can just do a couple of final tweaks now before we cut it and weld it in. Now we'll carry it on. Alrighty, so I've done a little bit of work here. So I gave it a shrink here. It's fitting better. It actually needs a wee bit more just shape here to pull that down. I gave it a little shrink here. Then I actually run this through the English wheel just to smooth it out with the flat dive with hardly any pressure. Just to get all the, just basically the lumps out of it, if you know what I mean. I did do it a little bit through here, but I think it needs a wee bit of just curve pulled in that. Now we could probably do it as we weld it even. But I might just manipulate a little bit of shape into that. I've opened that hole out a little bit, one step on the step drill. So I think what I'll do is I'll let that screw go and we'll just, I just pulled it down basically just to make sure it fitted right. Might actually do another wee shrink here before we finish. It feels like it doesn't follow quite as nice just here. Just do one more shrink there. You know, we're getting really close. Right, let's start cutting and gluing. Fuck no, without a running wire. You're kidding me. No. Fuck. No fucking running wire. Damn it. Oh. Oh, boo. I meant to actually look at that the other day. I'm gonna make it. Damn it. Alright, well, then I'm anymore. Damn. Oh, well, that fucks that then. Marko. Always something fucks you up. Always something. I think another day I'm going to look and see. Yeah. Fucking well. Booger. Yeah. Why can't fuck's that thing? Righty, got to call a wire. So I'll actually get that locally here in the little town I live in. I had a quick Google online, and this is from their local little hardware store. It was, you know, it was a few dollars cheaper than me going into town to get it, but I thought, well, by the time I go into town and get it, that few dollars cheaper is going to cost me in time. So basically, I went home, had a slightly longer lunch and shot down to the shop and got this basically. It's only just down the road from home, so it was it's only about 11:15 when I ran out of wire, and just had a slightly longer lunch and shot down to the local hardware shop and got some frickin' wire, so at least we can carry on. I'll get this loaded and keep welding. Right, well, that's in, cleaned up, reasonable at the moment. Obviously we can do a bit more later on when we obviously run around with the hammer and dolly and give it a quick clean up on the inside. And we'll get it out the right way. So I think I was going to attack that, which I will, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this patch made. You see me wear up these couple of little holes. I think there's another one here. I'll have to check that. So yeah, I might have to weld up another wee hole here, and I welded one here, which I might have to put another wee spot of weld in now that I've ground it off. But this is basically done. I did put a couple plug welds in here to hold this, stop it from moving around, which they never did. So yeah, I think we'll make a quick patch for here and put that on, and that should be basically that done. And then I can kind of get it ready to turn back over, I guess. Yeah, and we basically will attack that. But I think what I'll do before I turn it over is obviously give it a really good clean up here underneath. Probably do the same thing as what I've done to this. Just give it a bit of a once over with the rust treatment, like especially on all the older steel, so we can clean it all up. I might try and do a little bit of dolly work on the bottom of this, just where it's been bent a bit, if I can, and then basically give this a good clean up, because I want to probably etch, at least when I etch that, probably dust the bottom of it. I won't worry about the rest of it until I get up the other way, because I'm going to have to come in here and do all the rest of it anyway. But at least then I can do that, put a good half reasonable coat of etch on there, and then put a coat of texture spray underneath here, get it all sort of sealed up. You know, I'm not going to worry about down in here, but at least blow all this in here, and it's all covered, and it's all sealed up, you know, blow it in around these pieces and behind and stuff like that, because once it's up the other way, it's going to be a bitch to do. So at least we can give it a clean up and get a good coat of shit on here. There's going to be the odd place I'm going to have to still do a couple of little welds and bits and pieces when it's up the other way. That's not a biggie. We can come in there and just touch up the odd little spot. At some point, you know, we'll just even get in there with a bit of brush or something like that. It's not going to be a biggie, but it'd be nice to get at least some texture coating underneath all this, and it'll be all nicely sealed up. You know, I can mask down here so it doesn't come down the sides or anything like that. You know, I won't worry about in here too much. Masking off, if you know what I mean. But we can come in here and we can clean all this up and seal it all up. You know, we'll attack this stuff after we've had it up the other way and had a bit more of a clean up. But at least all this here will be all protected and coated and ready to go. So when I turn it up, and we might have to blow a coat of paint on there too. Probably do that with rattle can maybe, especially under the seat base and underneath that piece. The rest of it we might be able to get with paint, proper paint. But just some of these spots where it's not so easy to get into, obviously when it's upside down, we might do that too. But we'll get that wee patch made, and then it's done. We'll do a little bit of well, most of these little spots, if there is pinholes, I can get them when they're up the other way anyway. So I'm not too panicked. Everything else looks pretty good. Just have to double check. I'll have to open these holes up. To open that hole and that hole up for the bolts to go through. That's only really a drain. I'm not too panicked about that. I'll knock a bit of weld off there. But yeah, we're basically ready to go. Oh, a little bit of clean up around here too. It doesn't look like I've finished grinding that up, but you know, that's all stuff we can do before we prep it for underneath. So that's where we're at now. So we'll get that patch made and we'll get it welded on. Oh, let's give it a bit of a blow down, and I'll probably give it another wipe down. It's just some prep wipe. Now that hopefully the thinners is washed, the worst end of residue left over from that rust converter. It's kind of what I did that for. I wouldn't normally do that, but I thought it was a good way to try and get any residue off that might be left. And it gives it a good scrub. We'll give it a blow down, and we'll give it a wipe with some prep wipe with a couple of rags. Make sure it is clean, and yeah, I'll check the time. I actually want to I'll clean up the back of here as well. Might have a straighten out, or sort all this crap out, might have a straighten out the floor here, put some cords and shit away. And we'll try and get this half sorted too, to do the underside of this house to give this a good blow down and scrub and whatever. So it might be tomorrow that we spray this stuff. So we might just have to spend a little time on this, cleaning this up and whatever, and run around and whatever, but we're basically done. To this point, if you know what I mean. A few welds to knock down a little bit, and the wheel wells and stuff, but basically done, which is good. Yeah, we need to just give it a clean up so we can prep it and get rid of that other metal bracing out of there, cut that off as well. Knock down any tack welds that are on the body, I guess. Well, some of the side ones we can worry about later, but anything around here that's going to be paint will have some product put on it. And we're good to go. I'll open up, let's have a couple of holes at the front. That's what we'll do next anyway. We'll have a clean up and carry on. Righty, so we cut that piece out. You've seen that and probably wonder what the hell I was doing. But there's a few windows of opportunity there that we don't really want. So we'll make that patch up in the morning. We'll weld that back in, drill a couple of holes so you plug weld it back in, and put that bit back on there, or straighten it out, or put it back on. Obviously doing a little bit of dollars because we pulled that up. Well, we get that back on, get it cleaned up. At least then we can seal this up. And obviously we can give that a wipe down in the morning to get ready to etch it. You know, with prep white, not thinners. But yeah, we'll do that in the morning. I'll use the other stuff that I've got. I might as well empty it first. That pacer stuff. We'll use that to wipe it down with a couple of rags. And then we can obviously treat this as well and get that cleaned up once we've got that patch made. That won't take too long to do. In the morning, get rid of that rot. And then we don't have to worry about it. It's underneath, it's done. We can clean it up, treat it, seal it, whatever. Spray some texture coat underneath there, and we don't have to worry about underneath of it again. Apart from there's a couple TIG screws in there still, but I want to weld them from the other side. Just because I can, easier, and at least I know that the seat's sitting down properly, put the weight on the seat and everything, just to make sure that those two outside pieces are welded and nice and solid. But yeah, we're basically done. So we'll probably see you in the next video, I'm guessing. So yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. It was several days of freaking screwing around. Hopefully I can get this all in this one video. I'll make it fit. But yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you can. Yeah, we'll see you in the next video where we'll get underneath of this treated, that etched, and we'll go from there. And get some texture coat and everything on this. We can start on something else then. Do a little bit of hammering and dialing, want to turn it up, and there's a couple of little repairs on the top of the body. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, thanks for watching.